Hey guys, welcome back again from Tampa Bay. Today I've got a test of the 2018 BMW K1600B Grand America, the latest and greatest from BMW. This is, I'm not sure if they consider this their new cream of the crop, but it is certainly up there with the other normal 1600. So I fully expect this to ride the same, or at least very similar to the other K1600 models. Except this one is styled more like a traditional bagger. So we have these nice, really rear swept bars, and you've got a little top case and rudimentary backrest for a passenger. Definitely not as luxurious as other models. No armrests. This of course has all the features available. Full LED lighting, self-canceling turn signals, extremely smooth. This is a multi-purpose bike. It is certainly a transcontinental cruiser. You can take this anywhere you want to go in complete comfort. And in the mode I'm in, I have the suspension in cruise mode. It is floating down the road, extremely comfortable. Feels tight, but very soft at the same time. I don't have any kind of bounce. You don't really feel the road, and you're just cruising in comfort. Now this of course has the 1600 6-cylinder engine. Very smooth linear power. And the thing to note about this particular power plant is the sound. It has a very distinctive exhaust note even on the bike. Really sounds good when you get on it. We'll be able to do that a little bit here when we get out of traffic. Gauges are a full complement. You've got a beautiful twin set of analog speedometer and tachometers. Very easy to read. Absolutely perfect gauges. Just glancing down, you can tell exactly everything you need to know. And then in the middle, you have a beautiful TFT screen. Now it is using the kind of, I don't want to say a fad, but the more recent trend of using the black and the lighter display text. But this one is working very well because it's not an LCD. When the LCDs do that, I have a really hard time reading them, especially in direct sun like we're in right now. But with doing it as a TFT, and it may even be changeable, I'm not sure, it's extremely easy. You've got a menu button here that cycles through all the different options for the bike, and it has everything. The only option that this doesn't have on the dash is the built-in navigator, which would be in the front top center there, where you see that big 6. That's a blank off plate for the navigation screen. I do wish they would give you that standard for the price of the bike. As long as it's a good navigation system, I would think most people would want it. We've got grip heaters, we've got a seat heater, neither of which are on today. We're about 75 degrees or so. I do have an up and down quick shifter, which I'll be using here. But when you come to a stop, you still need the clutch. One thing that's interesting, when you're in first, the shifter still goes down, like you're still have a gear to go. It's a little weird feeling. Most bikes don't do that. They come to a hard stop. Tons of torque on takeoff. Not as much as other bikes, like say the Honda Goldwing. You don't have that huge rush of torque, but there's plenty. I did use the quick shifter there to go up. Not seamless like some of the other bikes, even from BMW. It does have a little bit of a lurch when it downshifts, but it's still really cool and works really well. Go through this roundabout here. Falls down into turns. This is a very, very heavy bike, but it doesn't feel like it once you start moving. Now once you get it over a certain lean angle, you certainly feel the weight. I could tell it's a heavy bike, but it's handling itself very well. Just cruising down the road here, no problem whatsoever. It does feel top heavy. I do feel the front end. I feel the fairing. I feel all that weight. Even just going through a little corner like this. The bars do require a fair amount of pressure, and you feel the shift. The Goldwing definitely feels like a lighter bike, as in it hides its weight. This of course has a beautiful audio system as well. Speakers up front, we've got separates, and in back. Doesn't really do any good to demo it on YouTube, but believe me, it sounds really good. You have this kind of funky looking radio antenna here. Not a fan of that at all. It's like a 90s GM antenna just stuck out there, and it's always wiggling in the corner of my eye. Not a fan of that whatsoever. I would be removing that in a heartbeat. I'm sure there's a relocation kit or something small like a shark fin you can install. No idea why they did that. We have an electric windscreen. As soon as I find the button here again, here it is. We'll test it. It's in the low position now, and it's fairly quiet. I've got a little bit of wind noise, but not much. I don't have a lot of actual wind on me. Now, luckily, if you're in a hot climate like this, we do have these big air deflectors off to the sides. And when you open them, they divert a nice little breeze. Dip into the turns. Nice, smooth torque. Quick shift up, quick shift up. Just endless power. Doesn't matter what gear you're in. It feels exactly the same, just goes. Feels very electric. Nice big flat torque curve. I love that in bikes. You don't really have to worry about what gear you're in ever. We're here at top gear, 2,000 RPM, 45 miles an hour, and it just goes. I mean, it rocks you back. Doesn't pull your arms out of the socket, but it goes. So let's downshift here into second, full throttle. It almost pulls the front end up. I'm not kidding. Absolute rocket ship as far as power. This is not like other large touring bikes. This one has the power that you would expect out of a very sporty bike. It's the combination of the comfort, tons of features, and lots of sporty power. This is the only big bike that does that. This gives you the feeling of a Concours or an FJR or a Ninja, but with the size and electronics of the BMW. So let's put the screen up because it is now quite loud. Absolutely silent in the up position. Now it kind of has a double action. It raises straight up but doesn't change the angle until it gets halfway up, and then it starts to flatten out. Right about here it goes silent, but I'm looking through it. All the way up, you're just in this nice silent bubble. I don't know how the passenger would be. I've got a little bit of side buffeting. Let's close these and see if it makes a difference. Not really, just hotter. We'll open those back up. I like it somewhere in the middle. Right here, I'm just looking over it. Got a little bit of wind noise around the side of the helmet. That's about it, but it's nice and cool. Now up to about 60, all the way down is very tolerable. It just gets a little buffety and loud above that. We'll leave it right there. That's nice. Great howl to the intake. Dash has just a ton of information. Of course, what screen you leave it on will depend on your personal preferences. Like I said, we can cycle through everything with the menu. Besides all the normal trick computer stuff, got the grip heater controls, seat heater, audio system controls. We'll go back to standard there. We have dual tire pressure monitors, real time. Absolutely love that in a bike. It's showing 42 in both right now. We have ride controls. It's a ride-by-wire bike. Right now I'm in road, which I believe should give a very neutral throttle response. Let's go into dynamic, see how that feels. Doesn't feel too different. We'll get on it here in a second. In dynamic mode, there's a little bit of a deceleration pop. Dynamic might feel a little snappier. It's hard to tell. If there's a difference between them, it's not major. I'll leave it here. That works fine. This is a bike where you do not have to row through the gears. So it's basically sticking in whatever gear you're comfortable with and just use the throttle. Fourth gear here, all the way down to 30 miles an hour, pulls like a freight train. No problem whatsoever. It's not going to do a wheelie in fourth, but it will outrun any normal traffic. So you can ride it sporty, you can ride it as a cruiser, you can go all the way up into top here and ride it as a bagger and just putz along. and not have to worry about lugging it whatsoever. Works just fine. And the nice thing about having this much torque is when you load it down with a passenger and baggage, which this is why you would buy this bike in the first place, it's going to be just as fast. That's your advantage of having a big, torquey bike. Absolutely neutral going through the corners. Feels very controlled. Not a lot of road feel though. If you're looking for an actual sporty ride, if you're more looking for a sport tourer, this isn't going to be for you. This is definitely just on the tour side of things. Feel a little pulsing in the rear brake pedal. Just at low speeds there. They do have a lot of electronics in the brake system itself, not just for the ABS. It has what's called a hill start assist, and my auto cancel signals there did not auto cancel. That's okay, we're turning right again anyway. It's basically like holding your foot on the rear brake. If you're on, say, a hill or a steep driveway, that's when I use that technique a lot. I do a rather steep driveway, so if I'm backing out and I need to close the garage door and put it in my pocket, or hit the opener in my pocket, then I just have my foot on the rear brake. But if you're, for example, on the shorter side, or you're on a slanted surface and you need both feet down, you can use the hill start assist. And basically, you just pull back the front brake lever all the way back to the bars and it will engage, and I believe it shows an H somewhere on the dash, and it's holding the brake there, at least part of it, for you until you start to take off with the throttle, or you pull it in to disengage it. So it's like an electric parking brake, just temporarily. Pretty nice little feature there. Mirrors are very good, and they have a unique feature. I've not seen this in other bikes. I don't know if the camera's going to pick it up, but there's a little line, a vertical line at the end of the mirror there, about the last 20% or so, and it's a slight convex mirror. So that last bit, you're seeing more to the side of you. It's not a flat mirror panel. I like it. I think it works. I don't think I would want any more of that. What that does is kind of warps it just on the edge there. But if there was somebody right next to you, you would at least be able to tell there's something there. It's not going to be super clear because it does have that reverse fisheye, but it's nice to have that little extra reach. Other than that, they're of course rock solid, very far forward, nice and wide, so you have a full sight picture. I see just a little bit of my fingers in the mirror itself. Couldn't get any better than that. Getting a little warm with that windscreen up, have to say. We'll keep it back down. Hopefully the wind isn't too bad on camera. Now I'm getting some buffeting here at 60, so back up a little bit. Right there, the buffeting goes away. I think that's as good as it's going to get. Bar reach is very good. You do have the swept, almost beach bar-like feel, but they're not as wide as real cruiser beach bars. Grips are small. I like that. They're not the oversized, typical cruiser grips. Can't stand those. Totally normal feel. It's a rather firm rubber. If you're looking for something super plush, you're going to want grip puppies probably. I don't think you can replace these because of the grip heaters built in. You have fully adjustable levers. They happen to be in the right position for me. Seat is comfortable, but it's on the firm side. I like it, but I think a lot of people would want something plusher, something with a little bit more spring and a little bit more support. It's on the narrow side for a touring bike. Like I said, I like it because I like more of a sport touring feel, and this has that. It's wide enough where it's just covering the rear of my butt, but it's narrow enough in the front where my legs are nice and together. They fall right in these pockets into the tank. You do feel very connected to the bike. It's not like I feel like I'm on top of the bike. I actually feel like I'm inside it. I feel like I'm very low in the bike. Now, that's partly because I am, and partly because of the huge tank cover right in front of me. I do have a large step in the back of my butt holding me in place right where the passenger seat meets it, and I don't have a lot of room. My nuts are absolutely squished into the tank. I'm in a pocket, very much like, well, pretty much all the BMW bikes I've ever ridden. It's not a generous seating position, so if you're really large, it might not be the seat for you. I'm 6'2", 250 pounds, 32-inch inseam. This also has Nice front pads for your feet. I don't really want to call them running boards. They're more of, you know, in a car you've got the fake third pedal if you have an automatic. That's what these feel like. They're at a very steep angle and they're not too far forward. They feel like there should be controls there. They're not far forward enough where I would be really relaxing my legs. I have a really good bend in my knee with my feet on them. And because the engine is so wide, they are out there. But they're comfortable. I would definitely want more reach though if I was going cross country and if I was looking for highway pegs or boards like this. I would need more reach for my legs, and I'm not that tall in the legs. So that might be something to consider if you're on the taller side and you're looking for a super long cruiser. Maybe there's some other board options, or maybe they're adjustable. I'm not sure. The actual pegs are very comfortable. They are standard sport touring, just slightly behind you. Nice wide rubber pegs and standard shifter and brake pedals. Nothing special there, just normal, just like my FJR. The one thing that is odd, it doesn't have real snappy throttle response, and I don't think it's because of the ride mode I'm in. Dynamic shouldn't have this, but right off idle there is a delay. So say if you were blipping the throttle, you would expect the engine to just go boom, boom. It doesn't do that. You've got about a half-second delay between it actually coming up and you twisting the grip. So it's something to get used to, especially when you take off. It feels like I want to stall it out, or I'm letting the clutch out too fast. That's what it feels like compared to other bikes. I'm sure you get used to it. Just a little quirk, not a big deal. Whew, it is getting really warm. I do want more air. Even in the low position, this isn't throwing any air into the lower part of my helmet. It's hitting me at the top of the helmet in the low position. Very warm, have to say. I would really like a vent down here. Something else to give me air towards my chin. These down here are hitting me in my gut, but that's it. It's just waist level. There's nothing between my waist and my eyes, so it's just hot air. I'm not getting any heat off the bike itself. It's just stagnant air. It's pretty warm out today. This does have full keyless. You get a transponder, just a push button to start and stop. It does have central locking, which is really cool. I would definitely appreciate that on my touring bike, instead of having to use the key everywhere to unlock your bags and your fuel tank. So central locking basically locks and unlocks everything on the bike electronically. Way cool, especially if, like me, you go on trips and you're getting in and out of your side cases, in and out of your top box, maybe to get you a camera or drinks or maps or whatever. Having to take the key in and out of the bike, unlock and lock, it's just a complete pain in the butt. This is awesome. Nice big fuel gauge and temperature gauge there on the left, right next to your gear indicator. Dummy lights up above. Absolutely perfect dash, great layout. Dedicated buttons for a lot of different stuff. Absolutely love that. Some bikes really, in my opinion, go too menu crazy, and they just put everything into one button. Don't like that whatsoever. I like dedicated buttons for major features, and this does that. So really kudos to BMW for that. It also has an electric reverse. I won't be demoing that for you today, but I've seen it in working, and it is a slick feature. Again, very heavy bike. If you're loaded with passengers, or a passenger and luggage, then it can be very, very handy if you're in a position where you are pointed downhill. If you accidentally pull into a spot and you know, you've got 1,000 pounds of bike and stuff and you have to push it backwards, good luck. That's where reverse is awesome. And this year, Yamaha, BMW, and Honda all do it very well. So there you go, guys. There's your 2018 BMW K1600B Grand America. Absolutely beautiful, sporty, powerful touring bike. Not your typical lug around cruiser. it's not going to be for everybody, because some people that are looking for the typical touring bike are going to be way over intimidated by the amount of power and responsiveness this has. By far the most powerful large bike on the planet. The whole family of K1600s. That's it. We'll see you next time.